What up, y'all? Today we are going to be reviewing Loki's Book of Time, which dropped on this day in 2014. If you have not watched my review for Shadowland, I would suggest maybe going and watching that first, or watch it after this. Watching it will kind of make sense of why I'm in this little gimmick right here. It'll also educate you a little bit on what the 12 Oracles are if you're not familiar. I would suggest going and watching the Shadowland review. In that review, I did say that I wasn't going to spend a lot of time really diving into the lore of that album. That's going to pretty much be the same for this one as well, just because I feel like with these albums, much like the Joker cards, they are very much open for interpretation. I've listened to the shit out of the Oracles since dropping my review for Shadowland, so I have an idea of where I think the story is for me in my head. And maybe I should dive into it just a little bit, but I also think that it's best for people to just kind of listen for themselves. Going into the Oracles, I think that it's just kind of a musical journey that everyone should take on their own. So, and speaking of that, one of the things that I absolutely loved about Book of Time, and it's one of the first things that I picked up on when listening through all of the Oracles that are currently out, it is the fact that at the end of Shadowland, the song Far Away, when you start off listening to Book of Time, you hear that kind of sampled at the very beginning. And Loki did that also with the next Oracle. So these first three Oracles are very well stitched together. Listening to them in a playlist, you'll kind of pick up on that. That's probably one of the best ways, and one of my favorite ways to listen to the Oracles is in a playlist, basically in a series. So the fact that they're connected just really kind of drives home the fact that this is a journey. These are albums that, for me, you are going to listen to them and you're going to pick up on things every time you listen to them. And there's several listens you're going to listen to them, and there's things you're going to miss. So that's kind of why I don't really want to dive into the lore too much, just because I feel like there's things that I could miss now and things that I would pick up on later. I think for me, that journey is just best for someone to have on their own. Now, the thing about the Book of Time, this album, for me, truly is like, if I was to pinpoint a specific album in Loki's discography where I feel like he just absolutely leveled the fuck up, Book of Time is it. Musically, there's so much going on here. There's fucking organs, there's fucking violins, there's rock riffs, guitars, drums, shit like that. Loki is harmonizing on this album. And to me, this album is just absolutely amazing. He's genre bending. He's doing not just rap. He's not doing just horrorcore. He's doing rock shit. He's doing, when we get into talking about the alternate dimension, he goes into some metal shit. So this to me was where Loke went from being just a horrorcore rapper to just being a fucking legendary artist in general. I don't think Loke can be really nailed down to just that one genre of music, and I don't think that we could call him just a rapper at this point. So the Book of Time, absolutely great. I am going to play you each of the tracks. I don't do this very often anymore in my reviews, but this is one that I feel like is important, so I want to play you each of the songs, and then I want to go through my favorite tracks. This is only 9 tracks total, so typically when they're shorter like that, I only give 3. But this album is so fucking good. I might give 5. But real quick, let's run through the track list for you guys so that you guys can hear it.
Let the rain come pouring in. We're finally free from where we've been. The chains and shackles finally shook.
house of the lonely, dreaming with a grin pin closed. I've been looking for a reason. Seems like the seasons been changing faster when I'm quietly degrading into crazy laughter, but it goes unheard. Rich pain.
So, like I said, it's really hard for me to pinpoint like my favorites because there's so many. Obviously, Transition is like an intro track. It kind of sets up like the story, if you will, of the Book of Time, and I'm still trying to really figure out what the Book of Time necessarily, the importance that it plays. I feel like it's a super important part of the saga. It's referenced again in the Eyes of Parasuva, which is the fourth oracle. And really, this album here feels like it's introducing us, I think, to an important key when navigating Shadowland. And interestingly enough, when we get into the Blood of Izu, which is the next oracle, he basically becomes like the first entity, if you will, in the oracles. And early in my listenings of the oracles, I kind of struggled with that because I felt like Shadowland and Book of Time really didn't have like an entity to them. The thing about that though is you can't really see because it's dark, but the shirt that I'm wearing is the Oblivion shirt that Loki put out, I want to say last year, the year before. It's got the monolith mask that he released, and immediately my brain went to the Book of Time, and it went to the creature or the character on this design, and I thought, oh shit, is Oblivion more than just a place? Is it more than just something that happens? You know, people always say, oh, welcome to your Oblivion. That started making me think more of Oblivion as a person. And maybe I'm off on that. I don't really know. I've never really reached out to Loke to talk to him about it. But it really made me start thinking about Oblivion as a person. Is Oblivion the voice we hear in the intro, in the transition? Is it the voice we hear at the end of My Dark Empire?
You are not you.
At the end of Halls of the Lonely?
In a little while, you will be alone in a shoreless place.
So, I don't know. That's just, for me, that's where my head kind of went. Like, the Book of Time, is it supposed to be like he finds it and he discovers it while he's in Shadowland? That's the part of the story I haven't quite pieced out yet. But interestingly enough, with those voices that you hear, with I'm just going to call him Oblivion because I think that that's who he is or what he is, and in my head, that's kind of where I'm at with it. I feel like Oblivion is kind of like this conscious that makes the listener, the person going through this journey, kind of aware that this is a dream, and that, you know, in a moment you're going to wake up and you're going to realize that it was nothing but a dream. It's an interesting concept and an interesting piece of the puzzle, if you will. So going through the tracks, my favorite tracks on here, and like I said, this is really hard to nail it down to which ones are my favorite because I just think this album is fucking amazing. I mean, I don't even know if it's, can I say it's a masterpiece? I think to a lot of people it really is. But going through the track list, absolutely, definitely, I'm going to put Beneath the Stone. I'm going to put, I think I might put Oblivion on there as well, just because the fucking organ that comes in after transition, like it fades out of transition and into Oblivion, and you get like this epic build with that organ, and then Loke comes in and oh my god, it's like theatric in a lot of ways. I think it's just truly fucking amazing. So I think I have to put Oblivion on there for that. And Beneath the Stone I want to put on there because there's times when I listen to it, I just get Marilyn Manson vibes. And I'm not even a fan of Marilyn Manson like that, but I just think it's amazing how much a rapper, a horrorcore rapper, just sounds like a fucking metal artist. You know what I mean? It was just, it kind of really blew me away. So again, that takes it back to me saying that I think Loke is so much more than just a horrorcore rapper. He's so much more than that. He's a fucking musician. He's an artist. he's a fucking legend at this shit. Getting back to my track list or my favorite tracks, Forever. I know I definitely want to be on there. This is why I say I could easily do 5, because I think Forever has to be on there because I think that song is so fucking good. It closes out the album so amazingly, and it really fucking transitions, if you will, into the next Oracle very, very well. So I want to put Forever on there, but I definitely think Hall of the Lonely is definitely worthy of being a favorite track. So yeah, I think I'll just give my 5. So there's 4. My 5th favorite would definitely probably be, I would say, Risen for sure. But like I said, this album front to back is absolutely amazing. If you have never listened to it, I highly suggest going and checking out this album right here. Now, when you head to shadowlandshop.com to, let's say you've listened to the album and you'd like to pick up a copy of this, when you get over to shadowlandshop.com, there's going to be 3 different versions that you're going to see. 2 of them are essentially the same album. You have a light cover and a dark cover. I love the light cover, don't get me wrong, but the physical copy that I have is actually of the dark cover. I don't know what it is about the details in that. You know, you have the entity. I'm gonna say that that's Oblivion there on the cover. You have Oblivion kind of. Well, I guess that couldn't be Oblivion if the shirt's Oblivion, right? You have this character on the front of the album, and they're kind of arms spread like this, and you can see the book levitating. There's just such interesting details behind this person. So that was the cover that I went with, but the light cover is just as good in my opinion. So if you're on the website and you're seeing those 2 different versions, that's the difference between those 2. The musically, the albums are exactly the same. The 3rd version that you're going to see, and I really wasn't sure how much I wanted to talk about this version of the album, that I want to make it its own video, and I felt maybe we should talk about it completely all together. But the 3rd version you're going to see is called the Alternate Dimension Edition. And this album right here this version of the album, to me, took the longest to connect with. When I first listened to it, I was like, oh, it's remixes. And I just turned it off. A couple years went by. I want to say sometime last year, might have been earlier this year. I was talking to the homie Gage, aka Wasteland Waldo. Shout out to him. And he's like, you just got to give it a listen, man. I'm paraphrasing. I don't fully remember what he said, but he had talked about how there are some of the songs on this version that he kind of likes better than the regular. And I was like, I just don't hear it. You know what I mean? But I've never been a fan of remixes. Getting ready for this review, I was like, all right, we're going to give it another honest listen. And fucking Gage was right. The Alternate Dimension, Loke did some shit on this album, on this version of the album, that is just so fucking mind-blowing, and once again drives home the point that Loke is he's such a talented artist. Some of the songs on here are completely flipped on their head. Bleed, which on the regular version of the album, I wasn't a huge fan of Bleed. I don't know what it is about it. I don't know if it's just the beat or if it's just the chorus feels too drug out. But listening to it on the Alternate Dimension edition, he did something crazy with it. Musically, it just sounds more appealing to me. And then getting into the chorus and he's harmonizing over it. I was like, whoa, absolutely love that version a lot better than the one that's on the main album. And my top track on the regular album, Beneath the Stone, when you listen to it on the Alternate Dimension version, it starts off almost the same. And then it gets into some heavy metal riffs, and I was so blown away by that. I had the thought of like making a post, like making a little video of like saying like this song has no business going this fucking hard. I don't know. I thought I loved Beneath the Stone, and then I listened to the alternate dimension version, and I really fucking love this song. I love it so fucking much. Um, the other two songs on here, the first one that took a little bit of time to connect for me because I love the regular version so much was Hall of the Lonely. On the alternate dimension, it's a little bit more metal. But at the end, it kind of switches up and you get Loke harmonizing once again. But he's doing it over these guitar riffs and these drums. So it's just like, I don't know, it works really well, which for me was kind of, I had to kind of let go of on the regular version of the album. You have this like kick-ass violin solo. It just like touches your soul. It touched my soul anyway. So getting into this version of it, it's like you have to let go when it's the song's getting to that bridge and you know it's coming. You really got to kind of let go of it, and then you just get those those drums hitting, and then Loke harmonizing "Forgotten." Yeah, it's so fucking good. And then of course, Forever. I love the shit out of the regular version, but I don't know if I like this version even better. Now, something Loke did prior to this album, because the alternate dimension version came out in 2019. Prior to that, he had put out Candy Corn and cover songs in 2018. On that album, he has a song in there called Never Look Back. And it's supposed to be a cover of the Nearly Dead's same song, Never Look Back. Their version is more punk sounding, and Loke took that song, slowed it down, had it be a piano, and he's harmonizing and singing his fucking heart out. Loke did that with Forever.
I see you design him locked inside. A masterful deception's got your eyes.
He basically had, which the original version of Forever has the piano in there. And going into going into the alternate dimension version, I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna feel about Forever being metal. But then it starts and it's like real soft, that piano plays, and Loke is just singing his fucking heart out. And it just, same shit, like reaches into my soul and just makes me feel fucking feelings. That's the only thing I know how to say about that. I love it so fucking much. So I'm kind of at a point where I'm torn between which version I like better. But I think altogether, both of these albums are absolutely amazing. And I think, honestly, I feel like it was this that made him do what he did with The Eyes of Parasuva, which we will talk about that more when we do our review for that album. But yeah, both versions of this album are absolutely amazing. If you're diving into it for the first time, I would say listen to the regular version and just keep playing that version of it until you fully digested it, and then wait for like a rainy day where you're like, yeah, we'll check this version out. Because I feel like there's a lot that you really need to pick up on of the regular version before you dive into the alternate dimension, because there's things that he does on the alternate dimension that just changes the song so much that you basically are listening. To me, it feels like I'm listening to a different album, but it's the same lyrics and themes from the regular version. Like some of the choruses are pretty well the same, but it's just changed up. And you can actually, going into the alternate dimension, you can hear some of the re-recording that he did and the things that he changed up on some of the choruses, and the vocals that he re-recorded to make it work. It's not just a remix album. Like he really put his fucking heart and soul into it, and that's what I love about Low Key. You can tell he does this because he genuinely is passionate about making music. And the Book of Time to me is just an absolute testament of that. And it's definitely an album that if you are a fan of music, not just a hip hop fan and not just a horrorcore fan, if you are a fan of music, if you listen to all different kinds of music and you appreciate it, this is something that you should check out if you haven't. Highly, highly recommend this album. So if you have heard Book of Time, tell me down below what you like about it. If you've listened to the alternate dimension edition of the album, tell me down below which songs you like better off of it than the regular. And if you haven't heard it, go give it a listen. Listen to the regular version, really digest it, and then eventually dive into the alternate dimension. But I would say at the very least, make sure you check out the base regular version of the Book of Time, because it's absolutely, in my opinion, a masterpiece of an album. So thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys next time.